The crash was just the beginning. Stranded on a deserted island with a group of traumatized teenagers, I started to question everything. My career, my sanity, and the desperate lengths I'd go to escape a life that felt like it was collapsing. But the island held a secret far more terrifying than a plane crash, a secret that bloomed in the darkness of human desperation. The salt water stung my eyes as I coughed, sputtering seawater and sand. The roar of the crash still echoed in my ears, a brutal symphony of twisted metal and shattered hopes. 12 students. Somehow, 12 had survived. And me. 26 years old, fresh out of college, finally believing I'd made the right choice with teaching. Now, staring out at the turquoise expanse of the Mediterranean, the waves gently lapping at the shore, that belief felt like a cruel joke. The heat was oppressive, clinging to my skin like a damp shroud. The air tasted of salt and something else, something metallic and sickeningly familiar. It took a long moment to realize that was the scent of blood, clinging to my dress, to my hair, to my very being. Mr. Stevenson, our history teacher, hadn't made it. A horrifying image flashed in my mind, and I squeezed my eyes shut, fighting back the nausea. I remember the initial chaos, the frantic cries, the debris scattered across the beach like grotesque confetti. But gradually, a semblance of order emerged. The students huddled together, a fragile knot of shared trauma, whispering amongst themselves in low, frightened tones. I should have been the anchor, the adult they relied on, but the weight of responsibility felt crushing, suffocating. The memory of Mr. Stevenson's lifeless eyes, the panicked screams, they haunted the periphery of my mind. I wanted to disappear, to melt into the jungle, to let them fend for themselves. The thought was shameful, a betrayal of everything I believed in. But the island itself felt like a judgment, a silent condemnation of my failed ambitions, my youthful idealism. It was a paradise, yes, but a paradise teeming with an unspoken threat. Alex Astor was the first to break the silence. His gaze was intense, accusatory. "When are you going to get help?" he demanded, his voice sharper than it should have been for a boy who had just witnessed unimaginable horror. He stood with his arms folded, the sunlight etching harsh lines on his young face. He's always been a difficult student, I remember, confiding in me about the abuse at home, begging me not to report it to social services. I had, of course, reported it, but the guilt lingered, a bitter aftertaste in my conscience. His eyes held a strange mix of vulnerability and resentment. I sat on the sand for what felt like an eternity, staring up at the azure sky, shaking my head as if I could dislodge the nightmare from my thoughts. I stripped off my dress, desperate to cleanse myself, scrubbing at the ingrained stains with sand and seawater. The fabric felt heavy, saturated with a grief I couldn't comprehend. Then, it hit me. I was surrounded by 12 teenagers, clinging to the illusion of a responsible adult. But I wasn't their teacher anymore. I was just me. An exhausted, disillusioned woman desperately seeking escape. "Miss Gracie!" A chorus of voices startled me. 12 faces peered down, their eyes wide and filled with a desperate plea for reassurance. Alex stepped forward, adopting a posture of authority. For a moment, I braced myself, wondering if he was about to exile me from their makeshift society. I forced a smile, a brittle facade barely concealing the turmoil within. "I'll go look for help," I declared, grabbing the radio Esme was fiddling with. "I'll get to higher ground, broadcast a signal, and bring help back." The lie tasted like ash in my mouth, but I pushed it down. Their pleading eyes were too much. It was easier to maintain the charade. Just me, that's what I told the rescue crew. Just me. 30 days. 30 days of sun-baked misery, of rationing dwindling supplies, of listening to the relentless chatter of teenage voices, each one a tiny hammer chipping away at my sanity. Alex's incessant talking was grating. He was talking about me, about USSA. Accusations started to spill from his lips. Twisted fabrications, poisoned words designed to inflict maximum pain, accusing me of things I hadn't done, suggesting motivations I didn't possess. He claimed I was taking advantage of him. The audacity of the little liar, a boy barely 19 and blaming me for his own warped desires. He was still bitter about my boyfriend, apparently. The sheer entitlement of it all made my blood boil. And then, the worst part, he was singing, sharing his poisonous narratives with the others, turning them against me. Like a canary, spilling secrets. He was a tiny, venomous snake, and I was trapped in its coils. I pressed my face against the window of the rescue helicopter, watching the island recede into the distance. Just me. 30 days I spent starved for quiet, starved for sanity, starved for a clean conscience. 30 days I spent calculating. 30 days I spent planning. 30 days to watch them circle, to hear them talk, to orchestrate their demise. The bodies, they dragged themselves out there. 12. To the higher ground, for them to be found. So I could be the hero. The sea breeze was cool against my skin. I closed my eyes, and a single dry laugh escaped my lips. Pathetic.